Hello ladies and gentlemen, Sigvaldo Grim here, and today we will attempt to make a tier list for all the artifacts in Injustice 2 Mobile. I have made a previous tier list on the artifacts, but on that I included only the old artifacts. Now we are going to also include the Apocalypse artifacts. So keep in mind that this tier list is not most likely final, and it's subject to change in the future because we are finding day by day more uses of the new artifacts. And while I'll do my best to include in this tier list all the information that we have so far, yet again it is subject to change. While going into this, this is based on my personal opinion. This is based on how other people have used the artifact so far and to what effect, and this is also not going to really take into consideration the bonuses that the Apocalypse artifacts will give in the Solar Raids, because if we are to take into consideration the bonuses that they give in Solar Raids, they will be by default superior to the old artifacts. So we are going to take them into consideration all around the board in all the mods, and I'll only take into consideration the Solar Raid bonuses only when comparing the Apocalypse artifacts in between them. So with all that being said, like, comment, subscribe, dislike it if you dislike it, maybe hit that bell button, and let's get into it. All the gameplay in this video is going to be provided by RedBlaze, so make sure you check him out. Links will be in the description and links will be in the pinned comment. And maybe subscribe to him as a thanks for giving us some background gameplay for this video, so you wouldn't have to see the gameplay that I have already posted or see just me talking over all those minutes. So don't forget, links in the description and in the pinned comment. Go check him out. He does raids, he does solo raids, he does everything. He's pretty cool. Go check him out, subscribe, hit that bell button, and let's get into the video. So I'm going to start off by saying it's going to be a tier list. So for those of you who don't know what a tier list is, going to come from E tier being the worst all the way up to the S tier being indeed the best. So we will start from bottom to top and talk about the specific artifacts, briefly about what they do and why they scored so low. First of all, in the E tier we are going to have the Tech artifact. The Tech artifact is going to give you a health boost for your character, and is also going to provide some bonuses against fighting one specific type of enemy. I don't remember that, and in terms of those artifacts I will not take into consideration what type of enemy they boost damage against, because with all the artifacts that do that, in terms of the older artifacts, only with one is relevant, and I'll speak about it there. So this is going to be basically the worst tank artifact you can have. It's going to give you some bonuses, but they are not going to be pretty high, and there are artifacts on this list that are also going to give you pretty decent amounts of HP and at the same time provide you with a lot of bonuses. So unfortunately, this is not even like a full artifact. The Tech artifact is like a half artifact, like it has the effects that other artifacts have and nothing in addition to that. And the other one is going to be the Agility artifact. Unfortunately, the Agility artifact is going to be totally useless to you because it boosts dot damage. But the problem is that for every character in the game, the dot damage scales with the attack. So artifacts that boost attack will do a much better job in boosting the dot damage than the Agility amulet is going to do. Those are going to be the E tier artifacts. You should definitely break them as soon as you encounter them. With all that being said, let's move to the D tier. In the D tier, we're going to have three artifacts. We have the Metahuman artifact. I have previously put this into the E tier, but I bumped it up a tier. It's going to be an artifact that boosts healing, and that is not going to be very useful because if you want a character to be tankier, even if he heals, you are better off using a tank artifact on him. If you want to boost a character's healing, for most characters the healing scales with attack, so you are better off putting an attack artifact. And right now we have just so many ways to heal our characters, but I have put it a tier higher because it also provides a bonus healing to your teammates. So you might find some specific situation where you equip this on a third support character that you're not going to use in the fight, just to boost the healing that your teammates are going to receive. Also on the D tier, we're going to have the Arcane Artifact. The Arcane Artifact is going to boost the damage of your abilities, and pretty much that's going to be it. It's going to be a decent artifact, but I don't suggest investing it because the Old Blades is just a so much better damage oriented artifact. And also in the D tier we have the Might Artifact. The Might Artifact is going to boost your damage while doing basic attacks, and this is the only one where I have taken into consideration the bonus. It provides bonus when fighting an agility opponent, and phase 2 Brainiac is going to be agility. So if you are going to use this specifically for fighting Brainiac phase 2 and equip it on Keltan Sakomen, is going to be the best option for you, more or less. But in every single situation other than that specific situation, this is going to be suboptimal and you shouldn't really use it. And this added bonus was not really enough to make me bump it up a tier and put it in the C tier. With all that being said, let's get on the C tier. Up in the C tier, we are going to start off with the Cosmic Staff. The Cosmic Staff I have previously ranked much higher on this list, but the problem right now is that with the introduction of the new artifacts, there are 3 of them are going to provide you with a lot of tankiness and are going to be oriented towards more tanky character and towards making characters survive longer. And while Cosmic Staff was doing a pretty decent job at that before, right now there are simply much better options that you could opt for. Cosmic Staff is still a decent artifact. I would not really recommend prioritizing it, but you might eventually want to upgrade one. I don't know. But it's going to do a pretty decent job in order for damage mitigation, and is going to reflect some damage back. Not the best tank artifact, not the most optimal artifact for tank, but it's going to do a pretty decent job. Next up, we are going to have an artifact that I have been debating with myself if to put here or a tier higher. It's going to be the Mega Rod, and as we have seen in some cool YouTube videos that I have featured one of them, and I think I'll feature one of them in the future, the big thing about this thing is that it gives you a chance to ignore power steal and power drain and steal power from your opponent instead when this chance is triggered. So basically, when your opponent is going to try to steal power from you, you're going to instead steal power from him when he's trying to steal power or drain power. And this is going to be amazing for phase 3, because by standing in the left corner of the map in phase 3, you are going to be able to pretty much get your full power all the time, while at the same time power draining Brainiac instead. This is going to be a very good bonus and a very good strategy for phase 3, and is going to open places for other teams that couldn't normally do phase 3, but at the same time we don't have enough data, and this is too much of a niche pick to be able to rank it any higher. But in the future I will predict we will be able to place this artifact much higher on this list, but for now I think it's safe to leave it in C tier, but yet again it might go much higher. We will see. Next up, we are going to have the Anti-H Metal Armor. This is going to pretty much increase the health of your characters, and if it's a legendary character, it will make its damage with the ability split among all the enemy teammates. So if this artifact is going to be equipped on the legendary character, definitely A tier or S tier. But unfortunately, not everybody has legendary characters, and that makes this artifact not a very versatile artifact. So we need to kind of consider it used on other options that are not legendary. And in that situation, it will only give a boost to health. And as I have said, in this current state of the game, with all the new artifacts introduced, we are going to have many more options when it comes to boosting the health of the tanks, with many more added benefits to them. And the last one in the C tier is going to be the Electro Axe. The Electro Axe is going to have 100% chance to steal combo from your opponent. That's worthless because usually the AI is not good at stacking combo. It's going to have additional damage against minions and summons. That will be useless in most scenarios, but maybe in the higher difficulties of the raid, this will be required for fighting Joker and maybe fighting Darkseid, because those, as far as I remember, are the only 2 characters in Soul Raids that do summon minions. And maybe when you up the difficulty to a certain point, those minions might get crazy and you might need to have this artifact in order to succeed over there. Other than that, it's going to give you 33% of the health of your health when you KO an opponent, and is going to fill your power bars. This is basically a copy-paste of the effect of Arkham Knight Batman's passive. And while this is going to be pretty decent in Arena and especially Champions Arena, the problem with this is that, yeah, if you defeat a character, you're going to get some bars of power and some health. That's good. But if you're going to have a damage artifact, you are going to defeat your opponent much faster, and you're not going to lose that much health, and you are going to defeat it with less bars of power. The problem with this artifact is simply that it defeats the purpose. You will be much better off with a damage artifact in most scenarios, but it might have some niche utilizations in soul rates, and it might fit in some Arena and Champions Arena too, but other than that, I don't really see a use for it, unfortunately. And with all that being said, this is going to be everything for the C tier. Now let's move on to the B tier. In B tier, we're going to have to start with Heart of Darkness. Heart of Darkness is one of the new artifacts. It's going to increase your power generations for 5 seconds when you get hit by a critical attack. It's going to give you plus 100% health, and it's going to give you 100% chance of stealing the opponent's healing effects. The health boost is going to be pretty high and pretty good. The power generation increase is going to be very good because in Arena and Champions Arena most of the times your opponents are going to crit you, and the stealing of your opponent's healing effects is going to be, I guess, good in some specific situation. Maybe yet again we see this done in some very niche situations, but other than that, it's an artifact that has very high potential, but we do not know how to use yet. I have placed it above the Electro Axe and the Electro Axe and the Mega Rod because of the fact that it gives the maximum amount of stats in soul rates. So we had previously the Mega Rod, which gave at level 10 12k attack and 40k health. Then the Electro Axe is going to give you 20k attack and 64k health, and the highest amount is going to be given by Entropy, Heart of Darkness, and the Father Box. And those artifacts are going to give you a whopping 32k attack and 100k health. So that's going to make this specific thing an insane thing to use in soul rates just because of that specific fact. And the other effects are pretty interesting, decently useful, and maybe we will see more uses in the future of that stealing your opponent's healing effects. For now, I think a comfortable place for this is in the B tier, but it might go up or down as time goes on. The next artifact that we are going to have over here is going to be Radiant. Radiant is going to let you destroy the barrier of an opponent with a range attack that has a 100% chance to be unblockable. Your range attack will deal additional damage, and at the same time successful swipe attacks will deal 75% of your opponent's defense down for 5 seconds. So, how does this work? First of all, this might be pretty good in some specific scenarios when a character that you're fighting does have a shield, though those scenarios are going to be encountered most of the times in Arena and Champions Arena. At the same time, it will boost your ranged attacks. I can see this useful only on characters like Deadshot. And by saying characters like Deadshot, I mean Deadshot, because other than Deadshot, there are not many characters that use range attacks. Maybe Starfire, maybe stuff like that, though very niche applications. But the thing that made me get this so far up into the list is going to be that 75% defense reduction for 5 seconds with a swipe attack. So, in Just 2 Mobile, you are going to most of the time have the all blades on your damage dealer. That means that you will need to tag in and out your damage dealer a lot. And because you'll need to tag your damage dealer in and out a lot, it will mean you'll tag him in between with another character. And if you're going to equip the Radiant on that other character, he will be able to inflict that defense debuff right before tagging out. So this artifact might be the go-to and the new best artifact for combo builders in Just 2 Mobile. Yet again, this remains to be seen, but is a very promising artifact in terms of that. In terms of the soul rate bonuses, it's going to be average, the same with Electro Axe in terms of stats, 20k attack and 64k health. So same with Electro Axe, higher than Mega Rod and lower than Heart of Darkness. For now we will leave this at B tier, but it might go up in the future. Also in the B tier, we have Kryptonian Regeneration Matrix. Kryptonian Regeneration Matrix is going to act like basically a save switch. You're going to equip it on a character, and if it dies, it gets brought back to life with a certain percentage of health left. Pretty straightforward, pretty good. So yeah, there's not much to say about that specific item. Put it on a character, if that character dies, it gets revived. As easy as that. This will have some applications on characters that are that need to be alive along with the damage dealer in raids. For example, when using Predator Batman with Silver Banshee or stuff like that. It's not going to be the most useful artifact in the game, but can be a very good artifact in Champions Arena, and in some specific raid teams. And it's a thing you can put basically on anything. And the last thing into the B tier is going to be Claws of Horus. It will give you an increase of your attack, and at the same time it will give you a chance to stun the opponents. What does that do? What does that mean? It means the fact that you will be able to stun your opponents from time to time in some certain soul raid fights in Arena and Champions Arena when you do a swipe attack. And at the same time, the fact that it gives flat out attack without having to do anything makes it a very simple and a very useful artifact. Because the All Blades, which is the best damage dealing artifact, but we'll get to that, is going to give you a bonus to attack only when you tag in and out. That makes it inefficient to be used against characters where you shouldn't really tag in and out, like Horrific Scarecrow in raids and some certain fights in soul raids. So where you can't use the All Blades, then the Claws of Horus might be the go-to for you. Other than that, this was everything for the B tier. Now let's get on to the A tier. Getting to the A tier, we are going to have the All Blades starting off, and don't dislike this video yet, don't get out yet, let me say my piece. Like, those two artifacts that we have in the B tier are going to be amazing. The artifacts that we had in A tier, are going to be amazing. The artifacts that we had in B tier might have been worthy of A tier, but the problem was I have to literally add one more tier, being the A tier. When starting the list, I had only all the way to D tier. I had to add all the way to E tier because the artifact in S tier is going to be so good that it simply deserves a tier of its own. So those artifacts are going to be the best artifacts in the game, pretty much. The All Blades and Fatherbox in the A tier, but just not as good as the S tier artifact. So let's get into them. The All Blades is going to be the best damage dealing artifact in the game. It's going to provide you a buff when you tag in with your character. That buff is going to stack up. It's going to last for a couple of seconds. At the same time, it will inflict some dot damage on you, but that's okay because your damage dealer shouldn't get hit anyway. So this is going to be hands down the best damage dealing artifact for every game mode, maybe except for solo raids if you have a very upgraded Apocalypse artifact. Pretty self-explanatory. And the second effect, it makes the super move cheaper for Red Hood. That is going to come into good effect only when you're using Red Hood as a support character for the multiverse team in raids. Other than that, we don't really care about Red Hood over here, I'm sorry. So a very good artifact, hands down the best damage dealing artifact in the entire game. You should have it. If you have it, you should max it, put it on your damage dealer, and you will be fine. And next up, also in the A tier, we are going to have the Fatherbox. The Fatherbox is going to have some very interesting effects. First of all, it will replace your rush attack with a teleporting strike that will place you in the front of your opponent, giving you a 200% bonus on your attack. But that 200% bonus is going to be basically nothing. What we are interested in is the teleport attack, because that will make the animation much smoother and will open up some infinite combos for some characters in the game. By equipping the Fatherbox, and that will be very interesting to figure out what characters are going to be able to do infinite combos now while using the Fatherbox. But we are not really here for that. Like, the swipe attack with the teleport is going to be very good. You're going to be able to chain your basic attacks much better. But what we are really here for is the second bonus effect that it has. When below 30% health, you will heal 51% of your health over 6 seconds, and you will also cleanse your debuffs twice, once every 3 seconds when the heal is active. Cleansing your debuffs will mean that if you are stunned, you will not be stunned anymore. If you escape the stun and you are stunned again in the first 3 seconds, then you will escape that second stun as well. And this triggers 3 times per battle. Basically, this can be equipped in a tank that you don't want to die. This can be equipped on a damage dealer that you don't want to die. This can be equipped on any single character. It's basically something that is going to go like, oh, you screwed up, you are below 30%. Let me help you out. Are you stunned? Let me help you out, not be stunned. Are you low on health? Let me pump that up all the way to almost maximum. This is going to be an amazing artifact to use on every single character in the game. It's not going to be the best damage artifact in the game, because other than Soul Raids it does not give damage, but in Soul Raid it gives a very high amount of damage and will be the second best artifact in terms of fighting in the Soul Raids. We'll get to the first best artifact in the S tier. Aren't that a very good artifact, a very interesting artifact, and an artifact that you can stick on any character? Maybe this will be the go-to for damage dealers from now on in Arena and Champions Arena, because while damage is good, this artifact is going to provide you with more or less of the best safety net you can get for a damage dealer, and if not, you can still equip it on your damage dealer or any character that you need not to really die and you need to him to have that flashy attack. So this is going to be everything for the A tier. The artifact that we'll talk about in the S tier was just too good to put in the same tier with those other two artifacts. I'm sorry. If you want to put the All Blades into S tier, be my guest. If you want to put Firebox into S tier, be my guest. But then you would have to kind of bring all the other thing up one tier, because there will be nothing left into the S tier. Anyway, with all that being said, let's get into the sweet S tier. In the S tier, we're going to have the best artifact in the game we're going to have the best artifact in the game, period. We're going to have the best artifact in the game to use in Soul Raids, the best artifact in the game to use in Phase 3, the best artifact in the game to put on a tank. So yeah, let's get into it. So first of all is going to be the effect that each instance of damage cannot deal more than 8.7% of your max health. That is going to be amazing because of the fact that you are going to put this, for example, on your damage dealer. You're going to have a very squishy damage dealer in Arena and Champions Arena that will pretty much get one shot by a character like Black Manta just farting towards their general direction. You put this on and they will need to do more than that. They will need to hit you at least 12 times in order to kill you, because an attack cannot deal more than 8.7% of your health, of course. So that will be amazing. That can basically turn any character in the entire game into a tank. That's just great. And then we are going to have some other bonuses. We are going to have some damage cap effectiveness is increased against effective against boss Darkseid super move. So when fighting Darkseid, if you use the super move, you are instantly dead. Like, you are done for. This is going to prevent that and will deny the ability of boss Darkseid to one-shot you basically with his super move. Next up is going to be hazard dot incoming damage minus 95% and minus 100% hazard secondary effects. And this is very weird because of the fact that it says Dawn of Apocalypse only below the Darkseid boss super move. Then there are those two effects added in, and then it says Dawn of Apocalypse only for the attack and health bonus. So this is in a very weird spot, and I honestly don't know yet if the hazard or hazard dot incoming damage reduction and minus 100% hazard secondary effects are going to apply only in Soul Raids or in every mod. If they apply in every mod, this is going to be the best character for tank in the entire game, and the best artifact for tank in the entire game, and most likely the best artifact in the entire game, period. If those do not apply in other things than Soul Raids, those two effects with hazard dot incoming damage and hazard secondary effects, then I have just made a fool of myself and bring everything up a tier and take this down all the way to B tier or A tier, I don't know. But if those effects apply in every instance of the game, this hands down the best artifact in the game. So this is going to be everything that we have so far in terms of a tier list. I have done my best to be as objective as I can in terms of this. Of course, feel free to leave your comments down below and we can have a discussion about it. Let me know if the Entropy's Aegis effects do work on other scenarios than Soul Raids, the hazard dot incoming damage and the hazard secondary effects. If they don't work, it will be such a bummer, and making a tier separate for it would have been for nothing. but I think they might do. Yet again, this list is very early. We don't have a lot of information on the artifacts yet, and this list is definitely subject to change. So I will, in the future, after we get more data on the artifacts, do an updated version with the data that we find on the artifacts and with the feedback from you, of course. So comment down below for any feedback that you might have or any changes that you would do yourself. Like this video, subscribe, hit that bell button, dislike it if you dislike it. This was Sigvaldo Grimm, and I'll see you in the next one.